Okay. All right, we're recording now, I think. Okay. All right. So first thing we're going to do is one of your favorites.
Let's go!
But then again, think about it, the hardcore ones.
Numbers too.
No way, the snow like fell into my seat.
Either that or they're being really lenient.
And my like window scraper thing was in there, so I had to crawl with that. Hey, are these gonna be numbers?
Why do these
Yeah.
look like
Yes, did you like it?
you actually work
Okay,
on these?
so,
We have to know the numbers.
well, every year I change it up, so I don't know, I'll tell you before we take the quiz on it. Okay, so I'm not, normally, I have the overhead up, but they're all numbered on here, so we'll just go through the numbers. So number one's in the middle there. Germany is split into two. So what is number one? West Germany. West Germany.
My bad.
West Germany. Then we've got, where is number two?
Right next
That's
to
the 21.
That's 21.
Number two.
Oh, right there, yeah, Czechoslovakia. I'll write that one on the board so you know how to spell that one.
Who decided to give them letters?
Czechoslovakia. I did on the letters, that was me. That's for water.
Oh no, it's not about the people of Czechoslovakia.
Oh, Czech, oh, yeah.
It's like three.
Czechoslovakia. Number three is right above it.
Czechoslovakia.
What's number three?
Poland.
Good, Poland.
Thanks. I feel like the numbers make this harder. It's 21 East Germany.
We'll get there. Number four. The number four is the easiest one.
I didn't even see it.
Italy, yeah. Italy.
Pizza land.
I can't tell where's land and where's water.
Same.
Are we gonna have to write all the capitals too?
Okay, no, we're not going to do the capitals this time. Number five. This time. Number five is, you put Great Britain or United Kingdom. I don't care which one you put. United Kingdom, Great Britain.
Number 6 is Spain.
Number 6 is Spain, yes.
The only
Very good.
reason I know what Spain is
24 is Portugal.
because she
Maybe.
says it.
13 is
We're looking
France.
for 7, Emily.
Yeah, I
Number 7 is
can't
over
find
on the other side of the map, next to A over there.
Oh.
7 is, what is that? Bulgaria.
Bulgaria. 15 is Romania.
Kind of, I guess. Do you use your
These
map?
are literally stuck in my head.
Good.
I hope
You'll
you
need
know I'm
them.
going to know the
You'll
map.
need the free
Good.
taxes.
That's the goal, is that you know the map. Number 8.
Hungary.
Nope, it's a new country after World War I.
Hey.
Yugoslavia?
Yugoslavia. Very good name.
That's the only one I missed on the last map test.
Yugoslavia. So that should be the, you shouldn't miss it this time, then, right?
Don't.
Number 9 is up, now we're doing 9, 10, 11 are up at the top there. So number 9 is,
I know, but they're like. That's Finland.
Wait, where's 9?
Is that Finland?
At the very top to the right.
Norway.
I'm looking.
Okay, number 10.
Wait, nine.
Hunter, what?
Finland.
Norway.
Norway.
Netherlands.
Remember, it's
No.
nobody.
Norway, Netherlands.
And then 11 in the middle?
Netherlands.
Sweden.
I didn't know we actually looked there.
Sweden.
Because Denmark.
No, because no one.
Number 12.
Belgium.
What?
Belgium. Belgium, right? Spelled that way. We say it Belgium, but it's Belgium.
Thanks, English.
13 is right below. France.
France. Surrender.
14 is below Germany.
Austria.
Austria, very good.
European Australia.
Right next to it.
15 is above 7, above Bulgaria.
Romania.
Yeah, who's saying? Romania, very good. 14 is right below Romania. 13 is above 7, above Bulgaria. 15 is above 7, above Bulgaria. 14 is above 7, above Bulgaria. 13 is above 7, above Bulgaria. 15 is above 7, above Bulgaria. 14 is above 7, above Bulgaria. 15 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 is above 7, above Bulga 16.
I don't know what 16 is.
What is it?
I don't know where
Switzerland.
Switzerland.
Oh, it's up there.
Swiss island.
Oh, there it is.
Right, yeah, right. It's in the same place it was before.
It's the Peace Mountain.
Wait,
Switzerland.
it's
17.
Hungary.
Hungary, yeah. Hungary. H-U-N-G-A-R-Y. Hungary.
I am Hungary.
You always are.
Always. Never stop.
18 below.
Albania.
Below Yugoslavia. Yeah, what is it, Nathan?
Albania.
Albania.
Where?
Albania.
Beneath you.
Number, yeah, Albania. So number 19, I want you to write it this way. Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Union
USSR.
of Soviet
You said you wanted to
Socialist Republics. So you gotta write it out on the test.
Albania.
Quiz, whatever.
Union of
Soviet Socialist Republics.
USSR.
It's USSR in English. In Russian, it's CCCP. Same thing.
That's what it stands for.
All right, number 20.
Like mess up version.
Where is 20? Oh, right there. It's above Belgium. Netherlands. Netherlands.
Right, this is the Netherlands. Right there. I can't see.
Next to Germany.
It's under Norway.
Now, Emily, you said number 21 already. What is 21? You got excited about it?
East Germany.
East Germany.
Who would have thought? Should we label the wall as well?
We'll get there. Not yet. We're not zoomed in enough to see the walls.
That's what the
Number 22 is off all the way down on the side over there below A.
Turkey.
Turkey. We'll be talking about Turkey today. The Truman Doctrine and that. 23 is right across the way.
Greece.
Greece. G-R-E-E-C-E, right? Greece.
Grease like
Whoa.
Greece.
I literally just watched that. It's like
Okay, number 24.
Watch this at least once a month.
24 is Portugal.
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 Portuguese.
25 is the island up north there.
Iceland.
Iceland.
Ice.
I want to go there.
Yeah, it's a pretty place.
Is it?
Is it true that like
No,
Greenland and Iceland
but
are
I've
like
seen pictures.
Greenland?
26 is right above West Germany.
Yeah.
Iceland.
Yeah, Iceland is
They
pretty
named
nice.
Iceland because the.
Hey, focus, children, focus.
Yes.
So 26 is right above West Germany. Denmark. We're almost done. We got 2 more.
I couldn't even see where I wrote.
Yeah, 26 is Denmark.
Am I supposed to get Luxembourg?
Yeah, I know.
Ireland.
27.
Ireland.
Ireland. It's a nation now.
Your potatoes get rights now.
And then there's.
And then 28, Little Luxembourg.
No.
I'm gonna write the
Wait,
number off
is
the
it
side.
B-O or B?
Yeah, you can write it off to the side.
That's called Little Lux.
Luxembourg.
There's actually
Yeah, Luxembourg.
Yeah. Where's
Okay.
Where's
All right, so we got 3 new waters, because I'm hoping you remember the Baltic, the North, the Atlantic, Mediterranean seas, so, and ocean. So A is,
Black Sea.
the A is, the ABC are the new waters. So A is the, Black Sea, that's part of it there, we got we'll cut off on the map, but Black Sea. B,
Aegean Sea and that, brother.
what?
Oh, it's called
Aegean.
Aegean. So, Aegean is like this.
Yeah.
So, Aegean. Oh wait,
Again.
it goes like this.
Yeah.
Like that. So the Aegean Sea. Yeah, it's the opposite. It goes the opposite way. The first one.
Wow.
Oh wait.
Wow.
Aegean Sea.
That's, I thought it said sea.
Yeah, that's a little trippy. A-E-G. G or E. Yeah. And then the last one, Adriatic Sea. Very good.
Do we not need to know the other?
Between Italy and Yugoslavia.
Do we have
No, we've done those a couple other times now, so we'll be good. Adriatic. Want me to put it on the board?
Yeah.
Dude, stop down.
That's a cool
Great
name.
actually, are we? On the test.
A little bit, yeah.
That's exactly how it sounds.
I'm literally
nice to see you.
I remember this.
All right, we got a couple other things to get done today. So first, we'll get our favorite part of the day done.
Yay!
Say your best jokes now.
I've been waiting for this moment.
Okay,
My time.
see. How long we got to take? No.
No, not on my
Do you have any lotion?
intense one. I can try. Oh, I do have some over there.
Wait.
And like, I just broke all of these down.
Yeah. It's a what?
Is it like really long?
Yeah, it's pretty. It's a lot longer than the one we just did. So yeah.
It's pretty dense.
Hey, we might have to turn on and bank the lights for that camera. I think it doesn't have good low light thing. So turn on this one here. So it's not on that one. Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be weird, but I'm gonna look. Yeah. Hey, turn off the light and let's see what it looks like.
We can see the board perfectly.
Yeah, turn it back on. It's a little dark. Okay. All right. So this is probably.
Why don't we do notes in the light more often?
This is probably my favorite thing to talk about, Cold War.
Cold War.
Well, I mean, a lot of the problems we have today, from radical Islam to overspending and a bunch of other problems that we have in the United States and around the world, can be traced back to the Cold War. And it lasted for a long time. Now, it looks like this is just the first part of the Cold War. It goes all the way till about 92. And we're still suffering from the consequences of it, and will be for a very, 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 very long time. So it's kind of important that we know this. Did I show you that little YouTube channel that's coming out with the Cold War? I thought I did. They had a little intro video. You know, they're going to be looking at the Cold War and different things. So we'll probably watch some of those little videos here and there. So where did it all begin? I had a history professor. He contended that the Cold War started in 1917, as soon as the Bolsheviks took over in Russia. But most people say it starts in 45, after World War II. So this is kind of the standard textbook definition of it. This time of competition and confrontation between the Soviet Union and the United States. Goes on for a really, really long time. A couple of political cartoons I'm going to show you that kind of show you what we thought of each other. You'll have to tell me what they mean. But that professor in college, he said that, you know, we invaded Russia before, as they were fighting their civil war. We and the British went up into Archangel in northern Russia and put troops on the ground for about a year and a half, trying to support the anti-communists. And they never ever forgave us for that. So in their history textbooks, that episode in their history takes up chapters. They spend a lot of time explaining how the United States and the West are horrible. They tried to destabilize the glorious Soviet Union from its inception, and that we were going to be a problem forever. Here's our perception of them. This is a German cartoon, actually, a West German cartoon. So what do we see? Somebody? Anybody? Well, raise your hand so I can tell you.
You.
All right, Cameron, what?
So the police officer is standing with his foot like on top of the cross, it's like a headstone.
Okay, is he a police officer?
It's a soldier.
He's got a helmet.
Full body.
So
Soldier.
probably more of a soldier, right? Hunter? So,
He has the Soviet Union thing on his pocket there.
on his breast pocket there, oh my good old laser pointer working as usual. Yep.
Yeah.
And then-
I know, I need to get a new one every time I say that. Okay, yes. So the hammer and the sickle, and the star, right? The red star was another big symbol. And he's standing over graves. Who's this little guy standing on top of it? Stalin,
And then, is
who ordered their deaths.
There's
Is
a
that
bunch of
Siberia?
Yeah, Siberia's German, but it's close enough. We can tell it's Siberia. So, and what else? What's in the background here?
People like slaves.
Slaves, prisoners of
Guns.
war, right? You have artillery and planes. And the gray, what is the whole gray thing? Fire, flames. So what does this say about the Soviet Union? What was our view? So yeah, world domination. They bring war. The only way they can control their population is through either killing them or sending them off into slave labor camps. They're a police state, right? So there's a lot of accuracy to that. But obviously, you know, people are people, and everyday people were everyday people. They weren't these horrible, horrible things that we imagine sometimes. But the leaders, this is how they view us. This is a Russian cartoon. So what's going on here?
We're just thinking over
So yeah, this guy represents us, and what do we care about?
money.
Only thing we care about is money.
And they're working.
So you guys know Paul?
Paul.
He's a senior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows
Yeah.
Russian. So
Oh.
yeah, he is pretty.
You know Angelina?
So this is like, he says this is like workers. So we get money from our workers, we exploit our workers. This is basically, he said slavery. He said it could be taken a couple things, but one of the ways was slavery, and that's what it's showing. What is this? What is this? Who are these people? Well, yeah, there's like Chinese, that's probably an Indian, miscellaneous, I don't know. Oh, African American looks like. So, well, what did we talked about it before.
The real person.
It started with ours started when the USS Maine blew up and we had an excuse to fight Spain. What did we take over? We took over their little scraps of empire, right, and made our own. So what they're saying is that we exploit foreigners, we go over and take over them and exploit them for all we can. And then the final one, you can figure that one out without knowing Russian, right? It's war. Okay? So we get money from war.
Is that a stock thing in the background?
Yeah.
Yeah, so stock, that's all we care about is the stocks going up and making more money. So there's some sad truth to this too, right? Not everyone cares about money, but a lot of our society is built on consumption. Buy, buy, buy. Everyone buy, buy, buy. Right? So there's a little truth to that too. So we got to look at what their goals were after World War II. The Soviets' thinking was way different than our thinking. The United States is blessed by a fantastic position in the world. We have an ocean on either side of us. We have a very friendly nations to the north and to the south of us. We don't really have to worry about invasions. So, but Russia, the Soviet Union, has to worry about that. There's no mountains all the way from Moscow to the Atlantic Ocean. There's no big mountain range blocking invasion routes. That's why when you look at history, you see Europe is invaded and everyone just goes back and forth, up and down, because there's nothing to stop them. There's no humongous rivers to stop people and no mountain ranges, like I said. So there's this big back and forth. And they had two cataclysmic wars, World War I and World War II, all within 30 years. And we saw, remember that video on the casualties from World War II? Tens of millions of Russians died then. And another 5-6 million in World War I. So security was huge for them. That was on their forefront of their mind. We don't want this to happen again. And in a generation and a half, we've had two huge invasions. Two. And they wanted to spread their new ideology of communism to everyone. So that's going to clash with us, big time. Now, it says here that we felt and we believe that the Depression had caused World War II. Explain that. Why would we think that the Depression caused World War II?
People were unhappy.
Like Hitler promised, like,
Go back before that, before Hitler's in power.
Well,
The Jews were rich.
It doesn't have anything to do with the Jews. And then Brendan's like, oh, then I don't know.
No.
Okay,
Camille?
isn't it because, well, America was in the Depression, and because of World War I, Germany promised to, well, it was in the agreement that Germany had to pay the countries involved back, but Germany couldn't. And usually countries would forgive those debts, but because of the Depression, they couldn't forgive them.
Well, yeah, maybe that played into it a bit. They needed the money in that, the British and the Frenchies. We weren't part of the treaty, though, remember? We refused to sign the treaty, even though Wilson wanted us to.
Or
Senate voted no twice.
is it like exports and stuff?
What kind of conditions are in a country when it's deeply in a depression?
started.
Okay, food is a problem.
Why?
Obviously, unemployment, right? I mean, in the United States, we had what, 25% unemployment? That's 1 in 4 people that couldn't find a job. In other countries, it was worse. So, what does that lead the people to do? Who do they support? Radicals. Because radicals come along and say, this is garbage. And in Germany specifically, they had the Treaty of Versailles too, as Camille alluded to. What did the Treaty of Versailles do to the Germans?
They could be more poor.
Well, what were some of the conditions that the British and French put on?
Couldn't have a standing army.
No standing army.
The Rhinelands, they can have centers in there.
Okay, they couldn't occupy certain parts of their own country. What else?
War reparations.
No, that was after World War II. What was the biggest one? You alluded to paying for the war over here. That was one big one. So having to pay for the war. Remember, October 2010 is when they finally made
they
it
had to
last.
take the blame for World
That was the worst one for them. They had to take blame for the war, and they didn't. As we saw, they didn't start it. So people like Hitler and Mussolini and Tojo in Japan come along and say during economic bad times and say, we deserve better. We're better than this. If you give me power or whatever, I'll make sure it gets better. And it's a good message. I mean, people aren't going to say no. Well, I don't want to be better. I want to be worse, right? Especially when it's bad already. So that's why we felt that the Depression caused World War II. It allowed these people that normally would have no chance to come to power because of the bad economic times. So we said, to make sure that doesn't happen again, if everyone is doing well economically, then nobody's going to fight each other. Because we don't want to, nobody will want to, throw that into jeopardy. Everyone will want to keep making money and doing well. So if we're all doing well, why would I get upset with Noah if he's doing well and I'm doing well? We just work out our differences other ways. So we needed to spread democracy and capitalism, which is the opposite of communism. So it's going to bring us into direct confrontation with the Soviets. This is a big year, 1945. The big three meet here: FDR, Churchill, and Stalin. FDR probably should have been advised after his third term to step aside and allow a more capable leader. He was very naive when it came to Stalin. He thought that if we gave him mostly what he wanted, that he would work with us too. Obviously, that ended up not being true at all, as we'll see. Yeah, psych. So, we've talked about the conference before, but since we'll look more at its impact on the Cold War here. I think it was in February of 1945, so just a couple months before the end of World War II in Europe. One of the specifics was to allow free elections in Poland. But until they had the free elections, they were going to allow the communists to keep peace and order until that happened. We were also going to allow the Russians agreed to this, that they were going to allow free elections in all the areas. We agreed to it too. So, we were in France and West Germany, they were in East Germany and the Eastern European nations. We'd all allow them after the dust settles and after a little bit of time goes by, that everyone will be allowed to decide their own government. We discussed this one too before, dividing Germany into 4 sections. The 4 winners in Europe, who were they?
France.
France, Britain, U.S. Come on.
Germany.
Germany.
Russian.
The Russians.
US has not
The Soviets, yeah. Germany won.
No.
Yeah. And the Russians, so yeah. British, United States, France, and the Soviet Union. So each was going to get a section of Germany. And what other place was divided?
Berlin.
Berlin. Which is going to be a problem later on too. It was inside the Soviet zone, yep. Very good. It also created something called the United Nations, which will become important during, especially the early parts of the Cold War. What's the United Nations? What was it? What's its mission? What's it designed to do?
Spread democracy.
Keep peace. Make sure everyone is
Humanitarian aid.
being okay with each other, right? So if we have disputes, don't go to war. Let's sit down and talk about it. It's interesting, I meant to point that out when we were doing the map. The map of Poland, what the Soviets did after World War II is they just pushed the boundaries into Germany. So they took over about a third of Poland and said it was now part of the Soviet Union and just pushed it further west. So ethnic Germans are now
This is ours now.
and ethnic Poles are now Russians. Well, Soviet Union, part of the Soviet Union. And nobody stopped. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, the war was, they had total control of that area. Nobody's going to mess with the Soviet Union. They knew they could do it, and so they did it. They just pushed the boundaries over.
Oh,
I got a meme. You almost done? You don't have your contacts in, do you? Tanner, we talked about this before.
But I thought we said that they didn't give Germany or make it pay reparations.
They made it pay in goods. Remember the Potsdam Conference? They make it pay in goods. So there's going to be this exchange. You'll see here in a second. Okay. This is when World War II ends, so a bunch of nations get together to form a world peacekeeping organization. This is where the UN took out the I thought it was pretty fun. Apparently not. You're not too bad.
Quality of names has slowed.
All right, the Potsdam Conference. This is the one you were alluding to, Hunter. Now we got 2 new players. 2 new players have entered the game. FDR's died in April of 45. Because this happens in July of 45.
Wow, big hesitation.
So the Potsdam Conference was in Potsdam, which is in Germany. So Truman and Lee, or Attlee and Stalin. Stalin's still around. He's a dictator. He's not going anywhere. Thank you. Sierra, it says Mr. Cotton with convenience. Not convenient.
If it was, if it was someone else,
So there's the big three in July of 1945. It's Attlee, Truman, and Stalin.
that looks good, honestly. Like, the
No,
outfit.
look at that gas. Look at
Like,
that.
the outfit looks
He's
good.
not sharp.
And the other two are just in suits, and he's in his little military.
It looks good.
What
Yeah.
guys?
Okay, so
He killed millions of people.
remember, it's easier for the United States. It's easier for the United States in World War II to take the high ground and say we shouldn't do this or we should do that, because we didn't have troops marching around our nation and destroying things, right? No big battles took place here, so it's easier for us to say, hey, you know what? Let's not do this, or let's not do that, or let's do this. So Truman argued, look what happened after World War I when we punished the Germans for doing what they did. So let's not do that again. Let's not repeat history and cause another Hitler to rise in Germany and be doing this all again in 20, 25 years. By this time, he was at the Potsdam Conference when he received confirmation that the bomb was successful. They tested it in the desert in New Mexico, and it was good to go. He tells Stalin that we've got this weapon. Stalin already knew about it from spies that he had in the United States. He obviously didn't let on that he knew. But he wanted us to share the secrets of the A-bomb with him, because we were, after all, allies together. So Truman said, nah, bro, we're not going to do that with you. It royally ticked off Stalin. He was very upset. He said, we're allies. We should share all the secrets we've got with each other. We're like, no. So
I made it.
there's Truman with the A-bomb. Where did you get that? I made it. What do you mean you made it? Did you make me what? No. I don't remember.
That one's funny.
This is the other big thing that happened at Potsdam. There were obviously lots of other agreements. You have AIDS and all that stuff drafted up, and there's a lot of stuff in it. But one of the other big ones is that in the United States and British zones was where a lot of the industrial output of Germany was, where they had a lot of their factories and stuff. The Soviet zone was where they had a lot of their food was produced. And so, sorry, in your way. So we made this deal. We would exchange machinery, so tractors or things, whatever, machinery type stuff, with the Soviet zone. And they would get, in exchange, they would give food. You got to feed everyone, right? So that was part of the deal. I think it's been a half an hour. I'm going to turn this off.
Say
Bye,
kids.
See you on the next episode.